So, hello everyone. Welcome to the second annual Global Goddess Fest, a week-long virtual festival to inspire, activate, and connect female leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives worldwide. So today we have Sierra Sullivan tuning in from LA, Los Angeles, and she is a pussy oracle. So we're just going to start this conversation off with this conversation may not be for everyone. And that's totally fine. If you hear pussy oracle and you're like, and you want to turn it off, go for it. If you hear pussy oracle and you're like, wait, what? Then I invite you to come and really dive into this conversation because this is unique, this is sacred, this is beautiful, ritualistic, and very important for us to be talking about in today's world, which is why I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining.
Aw, thank you so much. I love that. I love the potentiality that this still is really edgy and that can be edgy, but that edgy is a really powerful thing right now as we're stepping and reaching and expanding into higher states of our own divine feminine and our goddess selves. So I'm so honored to be here.
Totally. And so for all of our viewers, Sierra is an empowerment mentor, an experienced designer, pussy oracle, and sacred journey guide for women and couples who are looking for truth and alignment in their life, love, and relationships. So she helps her tribe of these awakened seers, people that are curious, people that are wanting to know more. She helps them reclaim their own divinity and design their reality to fit their desires and increase the pleasure, increase the power that they can magnetize and manifest. And so she does this using sacred practices, rituals, ceremony, and a lot of play and fun. So let's backtrack a bit to a year ago when Sierra and I met, or I guess it was a little bit less than a year ago. But we met at a beautiful women's event, and it was a 3-day event that I was actually emceeing, and there were women from all around that came, and we were talking about women's empowerment, spiritual growth, and business development within the spirit world. So it was a really, really intriguing time. And then Sierra comes in as the pussy oracle. And you know what she did? And I'm just diving into a part of this story, and then we'll kind of go into having her speak a little bit more. But she passed out cards, images of what looked like a vagina, a pussy, and passed them out, and it was actually images of nature. And it was so beautiful to see these like trees and flowers and fruit, all sorts of images. And then as we're passing them around, and everyone's pretty like, why are we looking at this? This is kind of awkward, but I'm getting more comfortable and I'm really intrigued. Like, I'm definitely getting a good look at these. And then it slowly transitioned into actual images of pussies. So it was a really testing kind of experiment to see okay, as I'm getting comfortable with seeing pieces of fruit that maybe are just suggesting, as you transitioned into the other images, it was like, oh yeah, this is not as wild. This is normal. This is a part of our sacred bodies. And so I would love, that's just a little bit of background of how Sierra and I met, and there's more to that story, maybe to come, maybe not to come. We'll see how the conversation goes. But there's a sacredness, and I would love for you to just speak into it and maybe share a little bit more about, your view on being a pussy oracle. And let's start with, what is a pussy oracle? Let's backtrack.
Oh my goodness. Pussy oracle came a lot later on, but basically it's pretty much what you think. What most women are like, oh, what does that mean? And they have a lot of different viewpoints about what it is, but it literally means that I can look at the design of a woman's pussy, of their labia, their vulva, everything that's there. And I see images and information and archetypes and stories of your life. It's like literally looking at tea leaves or looking at a crystal ball, or I don't know. I mean, maybe I've never quite looked at a crystal ball and saw what I see, but in that particular region. But it really is discerning, just like there's pomology. It's pussyology. Literally, there's iridology. There's all sorts of mappings in our own bodies. So why wouldn't there be a mapping in that sacred portal of life? I mean, the portal of life. It's the access to all life, all human life on this planet. So of course, there's profound information there. And I've learned through a series of experiences that I had that called me up and into this work, that there's more than literally meets the eye. I'm gonna turn my cell phone off. Excuse me. Keep talking. I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah. So for all of our viewers, you can already tell this conversation is we're going right in there, and it's edgy. It's definitely. I think let's talk about also, now that we have a baseline of what a pussy oracle is, like where's the line? Where's the line that is like, it's too much, or, because you travel around and you go to events, you have clients. So how has this become like acceptable? And I don't like that word, because it makes it feel like it was or is unacceptable in some way. And so can you just talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I really want to speak to is that that particular part of our body, that women's anatomy in general, has been really put in this extreme category of either being overly sexualized or overly shamed, or both, right? Equally so. And so there's so many women that I have met who don't even know what's going on down there. Maybe they've checked it out in a mirror. Maybe they have a relationship. For the most part, it's just this part of ourselves that we have to deal with every month because we bleed, when we have children, when we have sexual, connection with somebody, maybe when we go to the doctor. But that's very, there's all these different ways that we have to be with that part of our body, but we're not really with that part of our body. And if as this massive divine feminine awakening, is rising up on the planet, if we're not in right relationship with this most sacred part of ourselves, it is so sacred. So for it to even live in the category of overly sexualized or overly shamed is doing an incredible disservice to who we are as women on this planet. And until I believe that we can come into true alignment, true love, true adoration, really adoration of, no, it's not, this part of ourselves is not ugly because somebody decided that there was a perfect version of it, or we see more of what we're supposed to believe is perfect, just like our bodies and everything else, and aging and all the things that we've been told are not good. And if we buy into those beliefs, then we will never be free as a human race. We'll never be free. And I've been in women's empowerment for over 15 years, and I didn't even myself know, longer than that actually, I didn't never think that this part of our bodies was so essential to the evolution of us as women. And over the last 2 years, as I've been called deeply into this work, it's like the next level of my work that I never thought I would ever be doing. I thought, no, that's for somebody else. Of course there's someone else. All the sexperts and all the whatevers. And now I realize, no, when I started to step in, say yes to this calling, I realized that it's the quickest, the fastest way that women can liberate, that we can liberate ourselves by coming into right relationship with this part of ourselves. Every other thing that we do, everything from meditation to yoga to sacred sexual dance to whatever in between, is nowhere near the power of what happens when we fall madly in love with that part of ourselves and develop the power, the connection to that power, and also the power that comes from knowing that that is a sacred part of our body and not just giving it over or treating it as anything less than that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And it's just so powerful to also be, to have a guide such as yourself to be able to dive into understanding what this means. Because for so many women, even if you are on a spiritual path and you like you said, you have all these practices, really, how many women have spent time getting to know what's going down?
Yeah.
Going down, right? Like, we understand, we're like, oh, astrology, let me tell you, like every moon rising, this, that, right? We know, we're so curious to get to know ourselves. And yet, where is this conversation of our physical body and what's possible? I think to give some women some context, when you're working with a client and you're doing an oracle reading, what are some of the things that you would see that would maybe like help them, or like, what makes it a powerful experience for them?
I think the biggest thing that makes it a powerful experience, even more than what I say or what comes out of my mouth or what I see, is the sacred witnessing that goes along with it, right? The vulnerability it takes to even present that part of ourselves to somebody that is not necessarily going to want to have sex with you, or not trying to stick a scapula or whatever those things are. That's not the right word, but the gynecologist thing up there or whatever. There's something really sacred, as any of us have ever gathered in a women's circle really gets. Just the power of being witnessed by other women, just the power of being heard by other women in a sacred space. Like, we know that's amazing. Like, that can change things on a dime for us. Well, pussy feels the same way. Pussy, she's in the dark almost all the time, quite literally. And she's not recognized. She's not acknowledged. She's cast aside. So can you imagine, like, as a woman, how we would feel? And then this is our most sacred, life-giving portal that we're doing this to. So that's the first thing that really I get the most feedback on, is just that beautiful witnessing. There's no touch. There's no anything. I'm literally just holding space to see what wants to be seen and to say what wants to be said on behalf of that part of your body. Mm-hmm. Then on top of that, what I start to see typically are a lot of different archetypes. One of the more common archetypes that I see is, and this may be edgy for some of you, is I literally see Mother Mary, the archetype of Mother Mary in many women's designs. Not all women, but it's pretty clear. The clitoral head, the inner labia, it looks like the shroud of Mary. And so if I don't see Mother Mary, I usually always see some sort of mother archetype. I also see some sort of wise crone archetype, a wise woman. And they're usually the more funny, peculiar, looking archetype that I see. And they show up, I think, the strongest. And I think that speaks to where women, we aren't actually using our voices at the level that we can to speak what we truly, truly, truly know. Our deepest intuition, our deepest knowing, our deepest understanding of how the world works and the information that we want to share with the world, because we haven't been valued, or we haven't valued ourselves. And that speaks loudly that there is such a strong knowing and wisdom within the archetype of your wise woman in your pussy, that oftentimes when I share the kind of the way that she looks, or the way that she shows herself, it speaks almost always directly to the way the woman has specifically worked her own wounding or freedom around the way that she speaks and around her knowing. So it gives her a stronger sense of to speak what she knows and to do it in a very specific way, and to not do it in another way. Like sometimes it's like less is more. Don't speak frivolous words. Like, when you know what you know, say what you know and don't say anything else. Like, I've had that message come through clearly more recently with a woman. Or you need to speak loud and clear a lot more often. Like, and, there's different ways that archetype will speak to the woman, and it really gives her a new connection to her voice, knowing that it's in her design, that's what she must do in order to actually feel free. Mm-hmm. So that's, a little bit.
Totally. And okay, so I'm coming out of the closet here, and we were talking about this before I started the recording, and I was like, Sierra, do I tell them the full story? And I was feeling like I wouldn't, but I'm thinking that at this point, if you're still watching this, you're intrigued. So we've already weeded out some people, I'm sure, who have just turned this video off and have gone to the next one that's more about yoga or, creating your business. So at the event that Sierra and I were at, she then offered this opportunity. Who wants to come up and be witnessed? And literally witness it all, take it off and be witnessed. So this was a room of like 60, 70 women. And I was also not a participant in the room. So I was expecting someone else to do it. And you know what happened? My arm just went right up. Like all of a sudden, my hand literally just went to the sky. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be that person. So it was so terrifying. And it's interesting because I really feel like I'm pretty confident. I'm a performer. I love working with women. I'm very comfortable with myself, my sexuality, my body. And yet, as soon as I said yes to this, I was shaking. I was sweating. I was like, I could not talk. I was just laughing. And it was so powerful. And just the courage that needed to happen for me to not be like, actually, why did someone else should do this? Like, why doesn't someone else just do it? And what we all got to witness in the room was this really, really beautiful, sweet, sacred energy. And I had women the rest of the weekend coming up to me, just saying, thank you so much for standing up, for really like going for that wild risk. And it was so, my body was in such shock that as soon as I actually just showed her to everyone, it was like this deep exhale, a really, really deep exhale. And then the receptivity I received, from both Sierra and all the women, it was amazing. And I definitely think it was a big, big moment in my path, because it was like, that was something that I didn't want to share. I didn't want to share because of the traumas that were stored there. Also, I didn't want to share because I didn't want to stand out and feel like I was being different. I wanted to blend in. And here is this guide that literally is able to show in the physical form how different and unique we each are. And so just the, this is why Sierra's on here, because it changed my life. It was like, I can't hide anymore. This is me. And it was just so, so profound. And one thing that it encouraged a lot of women to do that were at the event was to actually go home and take a moment with themselves and just look in the mirror. And, whoever's watching this, like, have you done that? When was the last time you did do that? Maybe it was like when you first started your period or something. So, this is a really interesting topic. And yet, like, this could be a really beautiful challenge, to take this conversation home with you and just take a moment with yourself in the mirror, create a sacred space, create your own privacy, and see what comes up. It's really powerful. And maybe, Sierra, you want to speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think most of us are scared of what we're going to see down there. And depending on where you are in, the journey of a womanhood, if you've also had children, you may even be more scared, because, and I've really supported women who've had, I think it's called episiotomy, where you tore or you just feel different. And that's actually even more important to get reacquainted, because pussy's going to change all the time, regardless, just as we change, just as our faces change. Like, it's just part of the evolution of womanhood. And you may look today and see something, and then, in a year or two, you'll look and see something different. So it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. And it's really important to get acquainted with this part of yourself and to start to see. And that's why when I passed along those images, most women, if we start to see how, if we can overcome the shame, and there's a way that you can actually see what Rae saw. We'll talk about that in a little bit, way to get a free gift from me. But most of the times, we don't want to see what we don't want to see. And if we've been told that we're ugly, or told that it's ugly, or anything in between, it can be really scary. And yet, just looking to start is supportive. But if you don't feel okay with that and you need support, then get some girlfriends together. It might seem weird at first, but you'll literally, as soon as you start doing it, you'll turn into 10-year-old girls like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, when I do this in groups, most women are just like, why don't we do this? Like, it's so freeing and it's so amazing. And every single pussy I've ever seen is so uniquely different. There's no two pussies alike. There might be similarities. There might be kind of, signature, similar kind of features, but not one I've seen is the same as the next. And it's so powerful to get that because it is unique as you. And so whatever you see down there, whatever you think you're seeing down there, I want you to know that it's unique and special to you. And if you have a sense that it's ugly, there's some work to be done. We can love you through that. There's a lot of healing to be done on this planet. And you might actually be pleasantly surprised and fall kind of madly in love and be like, wow, that's amazing. Let me look deeper. Wait, let me spread it open. Whoa, right? It's endless. I call it the Yoniverse because there's so much to discover. And we're not looking, and we need to look. There's so much information there, and there's so much freedom there when we actually just shine some light in a place that deserves some light.
Completely. And so everyone that's watching, Sierra does have a free gift for all of you, which is The Secrets of the Yoniverse, a woman's guide to understanding the majestic and mystery of her sacred portal. So this is a free online experience. The link is going to be just below the video. So definitely check that out. And then anyone that is interested in purchasing the full Goddess Fest is going to be able to also get a second gift from her, which is the Art of Effortless Feminine Manifestation course, a 4-part video course, awakening the ease and flow of your pleasure and play to manifest your heart's desires. So do you want to speak to either of those?
Sure. The Secrets of the Yoniverse class is going to take you through, you'll hear more of my story of how I became a pussy oracle, and then you'll basically be taken on a visual journey to see what Rae saw with the images I sent, to see that actually pussies are really everywhere. They're in flowers, they're in fruits, they're in trees, they're in rocks, they're everywhere. And I literally am kind of awakening your own pussy oracle to see what we might be missing, and then to see that we're no different than nature. And if you can find the beauty in nature, then you can find the beauty in yourself. And that connection is so important, and they can take away the shame and the shadow of where pussy has been held. So I know for sure if any of you are having any issues or any whatever's going on with you or in relationship to your own pussy or this conversation, it will free you. And it's a really yummy class. And then the Art of Effortless Feminine Manifestation is really, we have been taught in this particular culture, at least this American culture, and I think many other cultures, that working hard and doing is really the only pathway to achieve what you desire in your dreams. And I'm here to say that's actually not accurate, especially for women. And I take you through a 4-part video series, step by step, to how to actually activate your pleasure, your play, your fun to manifest what you desire way faster than doing it from a very masculine, action-oriented, plan-centric way. So you can have what you desire way faster, way more fabulously fun than some of the ways that you might be, really getting burnt out and tired from. So.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for those gifts. Thank you for sharing your story and the work that you're doing in the world. It's really, really powerful. And I'm just so excited that some women from all around the world, no matter what country you live in, what culture or religion that you study with, this is a part of all of us. This is universal. And so we definitely encourage you to just take those steps and explore, follow the wonder and the curiosity. So thank you so much, Sierra, for coming, and I'll see everyone soon.